That's for the coaches to work with, where he fits in schematically. We look at him as a guy that can come in and move across the line of scrimmage, especially in the nickel package, and really line up at all 4 positions. So he's a guy that gives you some versatility. He's a high producer at his level of play, a great young man, A-plus guy, and an A-plus worker. So he's got all the intangibles we were looking for and the skill set to go with it.
Why do you think he was available there? Between his combine numbers and his production, it seems like he would have been drafted higher. Was it a small school thing?
I don't know. It's hard for me to answer. 31 other teams had an opportunity to pick him. They chose not to. We were fortunate enough that he was there when we picked. He's a guy that we had actually looked at the round before, so it's somebody that we have a lot of like for.
His bench press numbers confirm what you saw on tape as far as his strength?
Yeah, he's one of the hardest workers. When you go and you meet with the scouts early on in February in those meetings, we had 2 scouts that went in there and they loved him. They absolutely raved about him, his work ethic, his character. So nothing surprised us with respect to the numbers, and the numbers that you see on paper translate to the field.
What was your scouting report on Jeff Driscoll?
Heck of an athlete. You look at the numbers, he's a guy that's a young man that's over 6'4", he's 237 pounds. He ran sub 4.5. Just a tremendous athlete that's played at a high level of two high caliber programs. There's a lot to work with there.
Are there any plans to move those 2 tackles to try him at guard? I know their experience is almost exclusively at tackle, but.
Well, the good thing about both of them, John and Fawn, both of those guys are guys that can play inside and outside. John's played aligned at guard. He's aligned at both tackle positions. Fawn has done the same. He's played inside. He's played outside. So the versatility at that point in the draft that's hard to find, guys that have multi-aligned and played as much football as they've played. John's a 48-game starter in the SEC, so when you look at that, and he's played left tackle, like I said, right tackle, he's also lined up at guard. The versatility is something you're looking for.
Is this a weak draft in terms of skill position players, do you think?
I don't want to say it's a weak draft. Sometimes you think it's a strong draft, and a lot of them don't pan out. Sometimes people say it's a weak draft, and a lot of them pan out. So now that the draft is over, it's up to those young men to go and compete, and hopefully a lot of them find a lot of success at this level.
Do you want to have those 2 tackles competing with Trent Brown? Do you want to see a lot of competition at that right tackle position, considering that there's not a lot of experience there at this point?
Well, one thing you try to do in the draft, or any opportunity you get, is to make every room as competitive as you can make it. And that's the hopes in going into the draft. That's the hopes in going into free agency. And that never stops, Matt. You're always trying to make every room as competitive as you can. So any chance you get to upgrade a room, you take it. Because there's nothing better than competition to bring the best out. And if you've got the right people in the rooms, and they want jobs. They want to compete. So bring it on. That's the way we look at it.
Has Eric Pierce been playing there to this point? Has he and Trent been lining up at right tackle so far in the offseason?
Yeah, both of them have been.
Drafted corners back-to-back. The second one played just 20 games in college and was suspended for 2015 and was arrested as well. Why did you pick him?
Well, when you say arrested, he was, and those charges were dropped. We looked into why did we pick him? A heck of a talent. We did a lot of research, did our homework. We actually have a strength coach on staff with us that's from LSU that worked with him when he was younger and knew him very well. We also sent someone down there to visit with him. Our coaches met with him at the combine. So we had a lot of interaction with him, felt very comfortable with him, and have no problem with his character whatsoever.
You said you sent the team chaplain to meet with him. Why did you choose to send him?
Well, as you know, Earl's been with this organization for a long time, and Earl himself has a lot of history with dealing with these young men. And we just felt that Earl was the right person at the right time to go down there and really just get to know him and spend some quality time with him. So Earl came back, gave us his recommendation. Obviously, his recommendation was positive, and it led to us making a decision, or at least helped us make that decision.
Trent, have you done that before? Have you sent Earl across the country or anywhere outside the area to meet with?
We've sent Earl. We've sent some other people. You know, we don't advertise it, but we certainly do our homework on guys.
Can you trust his evaluation of character of a person's?
Well, absolutely we do. Otherwise, we wouldn't send them. You know, there have no qualms in sending Earl. And once again, we send. He's not the only one that travels on our behalf and works closely with us. And he's been with this organization a long time.
You see Devin Kachust as a wide receiver or tight end?
You know, Coach is going to be up here in a little while. We had him in here. You know, I think in our system, you know, a combination of the slot position, but once again, Coach can answer that a lot better than I can.
Trent, with 11 picks, do you feel like you significantly filled a few of the holes on the roster over the past 3 days?
Well, we feel good about the group. The 11 selections we made, we feel real good about it, top to bottom. And there are no guarantees. There are no absolutes. These young men got to come in and compete, whether they were a first-round pick, whether they're a seventh-round pick, or anywhere in between. And then we've also in the market for signing some college free agents as well. So nobody's given anything in this business. They got to work for it. But we're certainly happy with the outcome, and now we'll see where it goes.
Going back to Rashard Robinson, would you say it's safe to say that he's one of the better cover corners in terms of being a press cover corner? And do you see him as strictly an outside guy as opposed to the other cornerbacks that you drafted? You said they're going nickel, then play outside. Do you see Robinson as strictly outside the numbers?
Well, his size and length would lead you to believe that his best position is outside. And how we feel, we had him rated very high on our board as a talent. And I think, you know, one reason guys slip is because of the decisions they make along the way. That doesn't mean they can't learn from those decisions and you know, take advantage of the opportunity they've been given, and we fully expect him to do that.
I mean, he didn't play at all, though, last year or the second half of the prior year. Do you worry about that layoff of him in game action?
Well, anytime you take a leave of absence, whether it's due to injury or any other reason, you know, you get a little rusty. You know, but he's a young man with a lot of talent. He's been training hard. He's in very good shape. I think he said he's, you know, in the 180s right now or right about there. And once he gets here and we get our hands on him, we'll know a lot better. But felt really good about the way he was moving in his pro day and certainly liked the talent on film.
How does a guy like Prince Charles Awara, how does he come across your radar? Did you guys have somebody at his pro day?
Oh, he runs 4.34. That's how he comes across. You know, these guys, he happened to be at one of the All-Star games. That's where we first noticed him. Then we went to the pro day and saw him work out, and he posted very good numbers at the pro day. You know, I think his bench press 25 reps at his weight, which is incredible. You know, it's he's a talented young man that can really run. You know, he's going to come in here just like the rest of them and compete. But you know, he has blue traits in his body, what we call physically run, jump, change direction. He can do all those things.
Is that unique that a guy comes on your radar after he's played his final game?
Well, no. I mean, we went through the school. It's not like we didn't know about this yet. We had reports in the fall on this guy. So, but each time we saw him, he impressed us. We went into school in the fall, liked what we saw, showed up at the All-Star game, had a heck of an All-Star game, wasn't invited to the Combine, had a pro day, stood out at his pro day. So at each step, he stood out.
5 of your first 7 picks were either on the offensive or defensive line. Obviously, the draft is fluid, but did you go into the draft thinking you'd be really addressing both lines?
Well, I think you guys know how I think by now, you know, and coaches in the same line. The thing you got to be able to do in this league is run the football and stop the run. If you can do those two things, you got a chance to win a lot of football games, especially if you're good on special teams, which we intend on being. So, you know, we knew coming into the draft that we wanted to fortify those units, and we think we got some quality young men to come in and compete. Once again, they got to earn it, but we feel good about where the guys that we selected and the chances moving forward in terms of development.
Talking about running the ball a lot the past few days, some people might have expected you to draft a running back sooner. What do you like about Kelvin Taylor?
The film and the wiring. I mean, he's all ball. Obviously, the pedigree. His father was an excellent running back in his own right in the National Football League, and he's not his father. Not trying to compare him to his father. He's going to make his own way in this business, but he's all ball. Very enthusiastic. We got him on the phone, and the thing he said is, "You won't regret this decision," and that strikes me as something that. It really gave us insight to really who he was and who we thought he was. He just wants to come in and compete.
Who do you see as a comparable person to him, a comparable running back to him?
What does he do?
I've never gotten into comparisons. You know, they're their own style, especially running backs. They all have their own way of making you pay. They have their own way of gaining.
How does he make people pay?
Well, if you saw a few of the cut-ups. He's quick. He's aggressive. He gets on top of the defense quickly. He doesn't have great long speed. He's got competitive long speed, but he can string cuts together. And running backs that can string cuts together and their feet match their eyes like he does, you know, that's a hard quality to find.
What do you like about the receiver of Michigan State, Burbridge?
Productive, tough, excellent hands. Wins the majority of contested balls that he's in, or contested situations, I should say. A lot to like. I mean, he's a competitive young man.
Was he a guy that fell because of his hand size?
You know, I don't know hand size, if that's the reason why a guy falls. All I can tell you is if you watch his pro day and you watch the college film, his hands might measure 8 1/4, 8 1/2, whatever that is, but they look like they measure 10 1/2 because he doesn't drop many footballs.
One of the criticisms of John Diaz was that his feet are a little slow. What did you see out of him that made you choose him? What are his pros?
Size, versatility, intelligence, the fact that you can line up and play 48 games in the SEC as a starter. And the foot quickness, you know, that's debatable. You know, we feel his feet are plenty quick to play the position. He survived in the SEC at left tackle. He played right tackle. He's played guard. If you can survive in the SEC playing left tackle, your feet are good enough.
Trent, in
Last one, please.
2014, you took 4 corners, and you know they're still young guys. Some of them haven't had a whole lot of opportunity in the NFL. Why? I mean, you took two more fairly high and three overall. Why did you continue to address that position so much?
You can never have enough skill at that position, and you can never have enough competition at that position, and that's how the board laid out. You know, we've always maintained we're gonna take the best players available on that board, and there's nothing wrong with creating competition, as we said earlier. So. Those were 3 guys that we felt were going to help us improve and have a chance to improve. And, you know, I know the guys that are in that locker room currently aren't looking at it in a negative fashion. It's going to raise the level of that room.
Are you guys going to fill? Are you guys going to sign 8 undrafted guys to fill the roster?
I'm not sure exactly what the number is. You know, I know it's somewhere around that, Matt. You know, 8, 9 guys, whatever that is, and we're certainly planning on being at 90. Whether we're at 90 today or by the end of this week or by the end of that, I don't have a date on that.
On Twitter, Cherry, Lunsford, and Fanica have announced that they're signing. Are those accurate?
The guys are over there working on it right now, so if they're announcing it, I would take it as fact. but I haven't seen the list yet. So.
Since Chris Borland and Patrick Willis retired, inside linebackers seem like arguably the top need on the team. You didn't take one in this draft. Why do you feel comfortable not taking one?
Who said it was the top need on the team?
All right, let's end.
I would respectfully disagree, but no, we feel good about that group. We really do. So we weren't in a position at any point where we felt the player available was that guy. So we feel real good about that room. We really do, and we're going to plug away.